Question 8, we have a right angle triangle which contains a combination of lengths and an angle. Straight away we're going to be doing using our trigonometric ratios, our SOHCAHTOA. So first thing I'm going to do here is to label the three sides of the triangle that we have, the right angle triangle. So we have the hypotenuse here. The angle being there means that across from it, opposite it, is the opposite side, and adjacent being the one beside the angle. We do not care about opposite, or positively, we care about adjacent and hypotenuse, which means that the trig ratio that we're going to be using is the cosine. So adjacent over hypotenuse is the cosine of the angle. Quote our formula. Plug in the values that we have. Our angle is 52 degrees, so cos of 52 degrees is equal to adjacent, which is 12.6, over the hypotenuse, which is unknown. Let's give it any letter, actually. I picked x as an angle here. I should really have used theta. It doesn't technically matter, but the only reason why I want to highlight that that's theta is because of the fact that they've given us the hypotenuse as x. So I don't want to confuse you when I write that out. So this here is our equation that we have now. So whenever you've got a letter in the bottom of a fraction, that's a problem. We want to multiply both sides by that letter in order to make it disappear from the bottom of the fraction on the right-hand side and up here on the top of the left-hand side. So we have x times cos of 52 equals 12.6, like so. Now that the letters are up top, we can go about trying to get it on its own. In order to get it on its own, I want to divide both sides by cos of 52. If you want to type cos of 52 into your calculator before now, that's totally fine. So if you wanted to have done that there and end up with, see, what do we get? 0.6156 blah, blah, blah. You can write that out if you want. But you don't technically need to type it into your calculator yet, which is why I haven't. Because really, the only time that you actually have to type something into your calculator is now. When x is on its own, you'll have 12.6 divided by cos of 52. And that's what you're actually going to be typing into your calculator. If we do that, we'll end up with 20.46579. Always put like a heap of decimal places like that before then checking what it wants us to round it to. It wants it to three significant figures. Here's our first, here's our second, here's our third significant figure. So after the 4 is where the rounding is going to happen. That's 6, we'll turn that forward into a 5. And then the rest of the number is as is, 20.5. It was a length, so I'm going to put centimeters down there. Quick check to make sure that you've done the right sum, or the right trig ratio, but more importantly that you've done the right sums as far as multiplying and dividing goes. Your answer here should be bigger than 12.6 because the hypotenuse is the longest length and 20.5 is. That's not going to guarantee you being right all the time, but it's always worth checking, because if you make an obvious mistake like maybe multiplying both sides by cos of 52, you'd have ended up with a smaller answer. And so if there's any way that you can catch out some common mistakes that you can make, you always want to check for that. So whenever you've got lengths or angles that you figure out, have a little look at the picture and ask yourself, does that make sense? Here it does, therefore we are done.